90 years old, and I'm unable to read these words myself. As Parkinson's has left my speech slurred and sometimes inaudible, but I remember Tun well. To me, he was a fellow sportsman, a confidant, and most of all, my friend. Some words to describe him to a generation who has never met him. They are brilliant, energetic, serious, and sometimes daunting. He was a workaholic and a patriot who knowingly worked himself to the grave for the sake of the country he helped found and loved. Tun Razak chose me as his regular golfing partner, 18 holes on most weekends. I must be one of the few people in the world who played 18 holes of golf in the morning with Tun Razak when he was a deputy prime minister. And he cruised the links at 18 handicaps. The golf games were very important to Tun. He used golf, as do many men, working under enormous strain for fun and the fresh air, though there were also two very serious sides to the golf matches. First, the play itself. For those who know, it's a handicap game. At the beginning, Tun gave me 2 or 3 shots over 18 holes. I improved and began giving him 2 shots. On one occasion, I offered more and replied, "Chinna, you give me any more, and if I win, I will have no joy." So he was a man, a great sportsman, with fair play. I remember one afternoon in Penang when he played very well, scoring 12 over par. He made everyone sign the scorecard and asked me to ensure the scorecard goes to the National Archives. Most of all, he wanted posterity to know he was a pretty good sportsman. Golf also offered Tun a chance to focus his mind and to discuss sensitive subjects in an informal setting out of earshot. Because of his intelligence and capacity for long hours of hard work, Tun was always entrusted with the toughest jobs in the cabinets. When he took over the Rural Development Program, he established a system of military-style operations. He had planning rooms containing maps and charts that tracked the progress of government projects. This permitted him to assess who was responsible for the successes and the failures. This no-nonsense operation style suited him well, just as the bush jacket that he always wore. I know that he was proudest of his efforts with the Green Book and Falcon. He was born into a titled but poor family, and he always sympathized with the poor and the less fortunate, especially the rural poor. Hence, he always focused on education and rural development. He was interested in building homes for the poor, and when he was Prime Minister, one of the jobs given to me was to build Malaysia's first low-cost project in Kampung Kongo in Cheras. The cost was 5,000 each, excluding the land and infrastructure. I wanted to prove to him that a low-rise, low-density village-style development could be built cheaply. But of course, in the end, Kuala Lumpur decided to adopt high-rise density flats instead. Ipoh Gardens later built these 14-feet frontage, low-cost terrace homes in Ipoh. I think it was a question of land prices. Tun Razak was a very thrifty man, and it was never easy to get money from him. As the president of the Malaysian Chess Federation, I wanted Malaysia to host the Asian Chess Championship. I needed his blessing to invite chess teams from a then very deeply divided Asia. I also hoped that he would be a patron and also add a little to my private efforts by contributing public money to the event. Of course, anytime there comes a question of money, he gave me the 3rd degree in his usual no-nonsense style. "Why me?" he asked. I said, "We needed some media profile." "Why chess?" I said, "Because chess is a game which will enrich the minds of our youth, and all races and sexes can play. We do not need brawn, because just brain, and the youth of Asia can compete against the West and start forming friendships through the intellectual meeting of minds." And then he asked, "And how will Malaysia do?" Now, at that time, China had just joined the World Chess Association and were only just learning what international chess was about. The only chess they knew then was Chinese chess. The strong man of Asia then was Philippines, but I was honest. I said, "We will finish Stone Mother last." And he flashed a warm smile, which is something he so seldom does. In the end, he agreed to be the patron and even donated a challenge trophy carved by a master silversmith from Kelantan. To this day, the cup travels abroad to different countries. Against doctor's orders, he personally flew to Penang to give away the cup. Tunku Abdul Rahman was also there, and it was the first time the two men met in public after Tunku left public office. Tun said he was personally moved, and Tunku just beamed. As a friend, he offered help without needing to be asked. At one point during his premiership, Tun learned that I was staying in London because of threats from extortionists. Tun telephoned me immediately and asked me to return, saying he had found a bodyguard for me. The bodyguard was called Osman and was my faithful bodyguard until he retired. And today his son is now working for me. When anyone commented what good-looking children he has, with his usual dry wit, he would say, yes, they inherited my wife's good looks, but hopefully my brains. He has no problems keeping a straight face when he slips in jokes into his everyday speech, unfortunately, many of which are not for polite company. By late 1975, during a golf game, I noticed the veins on Tun's hands were red and bruised, yet he continued working. I knew he was pained when he heard stories of abuses of power, especially in the implementation of the NEP. He prayed to Allah that he could be granted a few more years to see through his plans, but unfortunately this was not to be. And on this day 40 years ago, the country lost a great leader, and I lost a good friend. And with this, I end with a pantun I learned from all my Malay friends. Kalau ada jarum yang patah, jangan simpan di dalam peti. Kalau ada silap dan salah, jangan simpan di dalam